This is honestly the most amazing AI demo you will ever see, and you're going to see why. OpenAI has created a new humanoid robot in collaboration with Figure that is a game changer. Take a look at the demo, and then we can dive into all the technical details of how it actually works. This has been the demo that has left the entire industry shocked. This is, by far, the most amazing thing we've seen all year, and the most impressive demo I've ever seen, by far. We must take our hats off to the company Figure for the speed at which they have advanced. In just 18 months, or 1 year and 6 months since its creation, the company has gone from having absolutely nothing to building a functional humanoid robot, capable of completing tasks using its vision model with an end-to-end neural network and being able to talk to you while completing tasks. Now, what are the features of this robot that is being developed in this AGI lab? 1. Technical aspects. In the first images published related to this robot, a company worker said, "Let's break down this video. All behaviors are learned and not teleoperated, and they run at normal speed." In case you didn't know, when robot demonstrations are done, most of the time the images are sped up because robots are somewhat slow, and making them fast is a very difficult task. However, in this recent demo, there was no alteration, which means that what you saw was not sped up at all and everything was done in real time. This is a significant achievement, as it shows that Figure has been able to overcome one of the biggest challenges in robotics, making robots that can move and interact with the world in a natural way. The tweet also claims that all behaviors are learned and not teleoperated. Teleoperation is the process of using a human to control the robot through a VR controller, like a VR headset. And you use that movement, and it's mapped onto the robot in a demo to show you what the robot is capable of. However, this is a robot that works with an end-to-end neural network, which means that 100% of this robot's behavior is completely autonomous. They also claim that they streamed the robot's camera images and transcribed the text-of-speech captured by microphones and fed it into a large multimodal model trained by OpenAI, which understands both images and text. The model processes the entire conversation history, including past images, to generate language responses that are spoken by the text-to-speech generator. The same model is responsible for deciding what learned behavior to execute on the robot to fulfill a given command and load weights of a particular neural network onto the GPU. So essentially, this AI system is able to recognize what is happening in the environment. Once it recognizes what is happening from human speech and what it wants, it is then able to decide on a policy from its library of existing policies of what it can do, and then it is able to execute that policy with its reasoning. It is really impressive because the image processing has common sense reasoning. The robot, with its vision, is able to make sense of its environment using the camera, so it doesn't just see images. It understands them in a way that it can reason about what is happening or what it needs to do next. And of course, one of the really cool features of this was the text-to-speech generator. The robot can respond to humans by converting the text it produces in terms of its reasoning into spoken words, so it can continue to have a conversation with a person. One of the really striking things about the text-to-speech is how coherent it is and how human it sounds. In fact, it sounds so human that most people would think that the voices they heard from this Figure robot were just a human recording, and it could well be. But I want to tell you that having humanoid robots that sound so human is completely possible. There are several softwares that sound 100% realistic. But let's continue with the technical details before we dive into some speculation. Also, of course, something they also mention here is that it has a full-body controller, which allows the robot to move in a controlled and stable manner, ensuring that it does not tip over or make unsafe movements. It's like it has an internal sense of balance and understanding of how to move all parts of its body in harmony. They also mention that it has 200 Hz actions and 1 kHz joint torques, which means that the robot's actions are updated 200 times per second, and the forces at its joints are updated 1,000 times per second. This implies that the robot can perform very smooth and precise movements, reacting quickly to changes, and the whole system is designed to operate in a fluid manner. Thus, the robot can understand both the visual and spoken aspects of the environment, and decide how to respond, both in speech and action, and execute these responses in real time without being controlled by a human. The behaviors it shows in the video are learned through training, not programmed for each specific interaction. This is a significant step forward in the development of artificial intelligence. It shows that we are getting closer to creating machines that can truly think and act for themselves. In another tweet by someone working on the robot, they say that connecting Figure 1's multimodal model gives it some interesting new capabilities. Figure 1 can now describe its surroundings using common sense reasoning. For example, plates on the table, like that plate and cup, will probably go in the drainer. And of course, translating ambiguous and highly contextual requests like "I'm hungry" into behavior appropriate for the context, such as handing the person an apple, and then of course describing why it executed the particular action in plain English. For example, "It was the only edible item I could provide you from the table." So I think here, this demo of being able to hand someone an apple, it might seem quite basic, but this is showing us advanced reasoning capabilities. Because if someone says, "I'm hungry," you have to figure out that if this person is hungry, that means they want food. I have to scan the environment for any sources of food. I see an apple, then I can select the policy to hand that apple to the person, and then I have to grasp the apple and hand the apple to the person. It's common sense reasoning when making decisions, which is a significant step forward from what we've seen before. Basically, this is another level. It's not just showing the robot's dexterity. The implications of this are really cool, because now we have a robot that can make reasonable guesses about what should happen next based on what it sees. For example, as we saw, if it sees plates on a table, it can infer that they will probably be placed in a drainer afterwards. And it's similar to how you might see dirty dishes and think that these dishes need to be washed. Another tweet says that a large, pre-trained model that understands the conversation, history gives Figure 1 a powerful short-term memory. It considers the question, can you put them there? What does them refer to? And what is there? Answering correctly requires the ability to reflect on memory. The pre-trained model analyzes the image and text history of the conversation. Figure 1 quickly makes and carries out a plan. It places the cup in the drainer, and number 2, it places the plate in the drainer. So essentially, this tweet here is, of course, once again describing how common sense reasoning works, because with memory, it is able to realize what has happened before, and then make educated guesses based on that. At this point, the following question arises for us. What's happening? From the technical aspects of this story, I think it's quite important to really discuss what's happening here because, as I said, it's by far one of the most impressive things that's been seen this year in terms of capability. OpenAI and Figure were working on this update, but it wasn't thought that it would be so realistic when it arrived. One of the first things that was noticed was the voice, and many people were saying that this is VR piloted and scripted, that ChatGPT doesn't use pauses. The reality is that it's using OpenAI's text-to-speech, which you can hear if you use the conversation in the ChatGPT app. It's likely that OpenAI is using a different model for their robot, as they have previously discussed future updates for ChatGPT 5 and GPT 4.5, and have expressed a desire to decrease latency. This would imply that the robots in the AI system that interacts with users would be much faster and more human. Therefore, it's likely that they are employing an updated version specifically for this type of robot, as the system that could be obtained in future updates of ChatGPT will probably not be the same due to the need for speed and because it is handling a completely different system. It's completely possible and quite shocking to consider this, especially since there is skepticism, such as claims that the robot is VR piloted and scripted and that ChatGPT doesn't use pauses. Those who have used AI voice generators like 11 Labs or other technologies will know that sometimes AI can fail and use pauses. Although I don't work at OpenAI, I have observed this several times, and it wouldn't be difficult for OpenAI to achieve, given that they have a very competent team. They have shown their excellence in the field of video, and although video is not their main focus, being an AI company, they have shown that when they set their minds to something, they can execute it, reaffirming their leadership in the market. Although what cannot be denied is that this is the most impressive thing in robotics that we have seen, and considering that this lab came out only 18 months ago, this shows the rate of acceleration that is possible when you really focus on something. This gives real competition to Tesla's Optimus. It is the first embodied AGI system that has been seen, and it looks really good. If this company continues at the pace they are going, they could definitely dominate the market completely because they have something that really works. We are seeing continuous demos, and we are seeing something that sounds realistic. It is able to reason very well. And another thing that was also seen was that the people who are working on this model did not say that it uses GPT-4, which means that what we could have here is that they could be using a completely different model. It could be an updated version of GPT-4, GPT 4.5, it could be GPT-5, but this tweet shows us that it says that connecting Figure 1 to a large pre-trained multimodal model gives it new capabilities. So of course, that's speculation, but maybe it could be a different kind of model because it only says an OpenAI model. It doesn't say GPT-4. If it was GPT-4, they would have said it's GPT-4. So we assume that the OpenAI model they are referring to here could be a model specifically for robotics, probably fine-tuned for robotics, or it could be an advanced system that OpenAI has been working on for the past year. Finally, if you don't want to be left behind in this AI revolution, check out the link in the description and give us a like and subscribe to stay up to date with the opportunities that AI offers us.